Hey, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I don't know why I'm doing this. Alright, so first let me say that I am petrified of needles. Like, that is no joke, alright? I have a tattoo already, and it was such a mission to get, alright? Now, having said that, I'm issuing a tattoo challenge. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, what is that? Well, there's a link in the description below. Please go check it out. It's called the Tattoo Challenge. In a nutshell, if you guys can get me to 5,000k subscribers before the 16th of August, I'm gonna get a tattoo chosen by you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I decided to do this. Having said that, enjoy the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Talk. And tonight, I am so excited to have Gideon from Paratus on my show. For those of you who don't know who he is, there is a link in the description below to his YouTube channel. Very, very awesome YouTube channel. Please go and subscribe. Anything you want to know about guns, this is your guy. This is your guy. Sorry, this side. This is your guy. Gideon, how are you?
Emilio, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your channel, for the invite, and hello to everybody else who's watching. It's really cool to be here. How are you doing, actually?
I'm good.
Awesome.
As you saw, I had a bit of a rant off not too long ago, and since then I've been peachy.
Awesome. It was an epic rant. I don't know how the heck you sustained that for basically a full hour. It was.
Well, I mean, it wasn't an hour. It was like 20 odd minutes, maybe close to 30, and then I just spoke to the audience afterwards.
Yeah, and then you segued out, but
yeah,
still.
yeah.
So
but yeah, I mean, some people really, I guess, I let them get to me, but I got some shit off my chest that I needed to, and I've been fine ever since. I feel liberated. And speaking of feeling liberated, you know what else makes you feel liberated? When you go to a gun range.
Yes. Very much so. Very, very much so.
All right, so let's get right into it. Gideon, I think the best way to start is maybe for you to just give a brief description about yourself, what your channel is about, and what you do for a living.
Okay, so hello, I'm Gideon. I am the Paratus guy. I'm the owner and editor of Paratus, the occasional video maker of it. I used to be an airline pilot. That was actually my career for 12 years until that abruptly came to an end. And at the moment, I'm in the gun trade. I.e., I work behind the counter as a sales assistant in a gun shop. So, and it's actually been quite liberating in the sense that I get to help people physically on the journey to legally acquiring their first guns. And for most people, that's a hugely intimidating thing. They don't understand where to start. They don't understand the process. It's complicated, and it is complicated, and it's scary. And they think, people like me are scary and intimidating, which I hope I'm not. That's not the look I'm going for. And that's kind of, I think that's where we're going. And the whole point of what I do in my channel is to get the actual truth of the process of what gun ownership means, how it fits in with civil rights and civil freedoms, and why it's important out there, and that's why it exists. That's me.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've watched a few of your shows. I find them very interesting. I am a huge gun fan myself. I don't know a lot about guns, if I'm honest. I know how to hold one. At least I think I do.
That's a good start, though.
Yeah.
And you know the part about not pointing it at something that you don't intend
Yes,
shooting.
yes, especially if it's loaded. You never always point it down. You always keep it holstered. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Safety always on unless you intend to use it. Stuff like that. So I just want to go quickly to the comments. Every now and again, I might bring up the comments. We have the Mr. Punisher is here saying, away. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Punisher, and us. Yanni is in the comments as well, saying, hello, peeps. Gentle Inflatables, hi all. And Claire Torres saying, how's it? And Mr. Punisher saying, SA PewTuber. So pew pew pew.
That's I'll steal that line, Mr. Punisher, to be honest. And hello, Gentle Inflatables, and to see here as well. I still need to get this lady her baseball cap that I promised her, so
okay,
I better get on that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's why she's here. No, I'm kidding.
That's why she's here. No, I'm kidding.
She actually says a nice background, Gideon, and I was tempted to comment on that because it seems like you might be living with a few other people that we've seen on Skype. I think you all stay in the same place.
Yeah, and it's miraculously daylight where I am, but when nobody else is, it's wonderful.
Oh man. And then Marika, thank you for joining us. Marika, she says, "Where are the hoodies?"
Oh gosh. Okay. Marika's also a fellow admin of Paratus. She's part of our Whiskey Friday lineup. She's
Yes.
now been pulled into being officially part of everything. So Marika, hopefully they're on sale tomorrow. They promised me they're launching tomorrow. So fingers crossed.
All right, so let's actually talk a bit about Whiskey Friday, seeing as that was brought up. So what I tuned in. I'll be honest, I tuned in once on a Friday, but very very briefly. It was just three of you. I know Marika was on. I can't remember who else was also on. Uh, you do very. I love the way you guys name yourselves. Sometimes that's funny. Like you'll say anti whatever or this guy's I don't know pube or whatever. Like it's always random. Um, so what is that about? What because that doesn't seem very gun related.
No, you know what? It all started with myself and Brian Mini. He's the third guy, the third wheel, if we
Okay.
want to call him that. And Brian and I have been friends a long time. He's very much more. I mean, he was a former reaction unit policeman. He did security work in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's much more hardcore than I am. Way more. But we're really good friends. And we had a specific on a Friday afternoon. We had a live stream together where we're discussing some serious topic. But we also were comparing whiskey at the time, and we said, okay, it's called Whiskey Friday. And then we had another one of those, and then on the third one, I think Marika joined us as a guest, and the dynamic was just really cool because we all get along and we're all very different, and it became less of a gun thing and just a general talk smack about the week and
Mm.
about any topic that pops up, and there was no real script at all. And we are still trying to get topics to sort of orbit around as opposed to really zoom in on, because that wasn't the point. And at the moment, it's just a free fall, and we interact with the audience. So people come, they leave comments, we bring the comments up on the screen, we discuss what people said or what they want to know about, and then the conversation just grasshoppers all over the place. And I have fun with it, and it seems that other people have fun with it as well. So
Okay, so it's just a live stream with you and your buddies, and you take comments and you talk about what's happening currently in South Africa or whiskey.
whiskey or anything else that's remotely interesting.
Yeah, well, that sounds like fun. I hope that people, anybody that's watching Gideon now, please go subscribe. And every Friday he does it. Am I correct? Every Friday?
It's every Friday, and if you're not careful, Joe, you're going to end up with an invite. So
I want an invite. I'm surprised because I included you in my rant as part of the right wing cabal, and yet I'm not even part of this Whiskey Fridays in the evening, which,
okay, so I'm going to
which.
definitely next Friday you're on. Um, Jeremy felt, if Jeremy's watching, hi Jeremy, I don't know if you're here, but he had such FOMO that he actually said, "Can I please be part of the next one too?" Because I'm like, okay, clearly your missus is working again and you're bored at home, so of course you can pull in. And I said to him, like, why do all the heavyweights want to be part of my stream? I'm not even famous, but okay, cool. Like, I'll have you. So I'm not going to complain.
I'm definitely not a heavyweight, but yeah, no, I would love to be part of
But
the
please
show.
do. Okay, cool. So you're officially invited.
Fantastic.
You're going to be there next Friday.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool. Yay, I'm officially one of us. All right, so speaking about this whole right wing cabal thing, because I
Yes.
made fun of it. That's what I did. In my rant I just went off and I said, you guys, this certain group of people are calling us these far right, racist, crazy people, and I was like,
Okay.
well, let me actually school you guys on what we actually are, and this label is actually ridiculous. But I think it ties in with our conversation because we did want to touch on this, where it seems that if you're pro gun, and what I mean by that is pro having gun rights,
Yeah.
that you are considered this far right Nazi evil person that's going to shoot out a school someday, right? That's kind of how some people
Yeah.
think. Now, you said that you may know the origins of why people think that way, so please do tell.
I think a lot of it has to do with there's several aspects to it. So when in the 20th century you think about gun ownership, you think in the American environment, you think predominantly about the WASPs, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and their guns and traditionally hunting and hunting rifles, that sort of stuff. And I think to a large degree because the civil rights movement in the 60s, prior to that, and even for a long period during segregation in the States, it was very difficult, if not impossible, for black well, I'm not going to call them African Americans because that kind of panders to the whole rhetoric. Black Americans. I mean, most of these people have never been to Africa. It's
Yeah.
probably unfair to refer to them that. They're proudly black American citizens.
Mm.
They were denied these basic rights. And I think that there was a trope that started there, and it kind of linked in South Africa, where gun rights for black and colored people were pretty much attacked and oppressed and eliminated from the 1800s onwards. So it became like a domain of like white, slightly right-wing people, which it never really was. In the local context in South Africa, the only people that actually spilled real blood to fight for their gun rights were black tribes, especially the Amahlubi was in 1873, quick history lesson, and the other one with the Basotho in 1880 and 1881. So it has this unfair reputation of being a white right-wing thing, when in fact it isn't at all. It's a basic civil right. It really is just an extension of your right to self-protection, to protect your right to life. It's a tool that you then use to exercise that right. And unfortunately, it became, in the 20th century, a big political thing. Do we politicize the ownership of any other tool to the extent that we do the ownership of guns? No, we don't. But that's the origins. I can kind of understand it, but it's also not true. It's also fallacy, fortunately.
But we can also be fair in saying that owning a gun is actually like a huge responsibility, because it's something that can take someone's life away in the same way a car can.
Absolutely.
I remember when my dad was teaching me how to drive. The first, maybe not the best thing to say to a child, but or not a child, but I was 16 when he first started teaching me, and he gets in the car. I get in the car next to him, and he's like, "Okay, son, I want you to always remember that this can be considered a weapon. You can kill someone with this vehicle that you are driving." Yep. And it put the fear in me. Like, it was like, okay, well, this is a big thing. This isn't just fun and games and stuff like that. I need to be a responsible human being. And I think for guns, it's the same thing. But again, okay, so the history aspect of it is interesting. But why is it that in our current society, when we're trying to give ourselves as many rights as possible within reasonable amount, obviously, why is it still feared?
I think it's feared because it's misunderstood. And we had a wonderful offline chat about this where because the misconceptions exist, people attach an almost sort of supernatural quality to what really is an inanimate object that will always be fully within human control. Your competence, your respect, your approach to the firearm ultimately determines how you interact with it and what the end result of that interaction will be, which is where, if with all things that are potentially dangerous and because of their nature could be harmful if abused or misused or used incorrectly. And I like making the analogy of power tools in a workshop. If you enter, I think this is a similar feeling. If you enter a metal shop or a woodwork shop and you see equipment that cuts timber and drills holes in metal and basically welds pieces of metal together, you understand that these things, if you don't understand how to use them, can cause extreme injury and death. So the only difference between them and a gun is a gun you can carry on you as a person, usually. If you understand how to use that equipment, if you go to the trouble of learning how to use it responsibly, then you're not going to have problems with it. It is to a large degree, ignorance breeds extreme fear, which then feeds into the trope again.
Fair point. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, as I always say, we fear what we don't understand. And when we were talking offline, I explained that I'm pro gun because I was around it my whole, well, not my whole life, but most of my life, especially when I was a kid. I mean, obviously, the fact that I was born in Texas may be of a huge influence, but but my dad had guns. My dad had a rifle. He had a handgun. I remember when I was a kid, I found bullets, and now I know a lot of people that are anti-gun are going to be like, "You see, he found if a kid can find bullets, then it's dangerous." But that's the thing. My dad was still responsible. I never found the gun. I never, ever, ever, ever found the gun ever. And bullets are harmless if they're on their own, and I think he later
Yeah,
found
you
out.
just don't swallow them.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that young when I found them. I was like, I think I was like 7 or 8 or somewhere around there, and I found them. I just found them, and then I know my dad found out about it, and he then later hid them again. But I never found the gun. I never even asked about it. And
Yeah,
that's the
it wasn't
thing.
a strange object to you. You weren't mystified by it.
Yeah, I still remember how my dad used to smell when the gunpowder smell, and that to me was actually kind of comforting now that I think about it. But unfortunately, well, we moved to Egypt, and then that all stopped. He never owned a gun again, as far as I know. But again, I was around it. I understood it. My dad was, when he found out about the bullet, or that I found the bullets, he, like I said, he hid them. He also, like, told me, like, don't you ever play with that stuff and stuff like that. I remember that. That was scary. Dad was very tough on me. And yeah, I think, again, it's all about knowing and understanding the tool. I understand that some people they have a bad experience with something. And I was explaining this as well to you. Like, let's take, there's a magician out there, Russell Fox, and he talks about how the mind can overcome fear. And he does a stunt where he walks on broken glass. He did it. He actually broke the world record for the longest distance walked on glass. It was about 37 kilometers or something. So he spent
He's fine.
2 days walking back and forth on a patch of, or not a patch, but like I think it was about 3 meters long of broken glass, back and forth for about 36 hours or something. And he had only, by the end of it, his feet were hella sore, obviously, because you're walking nonstop. But he had little nicks. And his whole message the entire time was, your mind can overcome anything. The reason why we are scared of glass is because either we were groomed when we were kids, like, oh, if there's broken glass, be careful, don't touch it, you're going to get cut. Or we got cut when we were handling broken glass, and then we're like, oh, it's dangerous. And he says, like, when it's in a controlled environment, and he got audience members to do it with him, not the whole time, but he just let them experience it very, very, very briefly. He proved that if you are in a controlled environment, you do it carefully, you handle it carefully, you're going to be safe. And I think the same can apply for guns.
Absolutely. No, that's a superb analogy, actually, and it's very much about your mental approach to it. And I'm going to say a strange thing now, but a lot of people go, okay, yeah, but you're a gun nut. And I go, listen, to be honest, I'm not really so much into guns as I'm into what they represent. And what they represent is the foundation of civilization, in the sense they represent freedom, they represent security, and they represent personal responsibility. And they are just an inanimate avatar of those foundations and of those basic principles. And you safeguard your rights by responsible use of these objects. And again, I think that's a part that's very much misunderstood by people. They're not mystical. They're not talismans. They're not capable of doing good or evil by themselves any more than and I know we keep coming back to analogies, but I mean, I say to people, look, if you own a minibus taxi that you use as a school bus, and use it to run children responsibly between the school and their houses, or a sports field or something, and then there's the worst taxi driver in the universe who doesn't obey any laws, who speeds, who overloads. It's the same vehicle. It's exactly the same vehicle, but they're used not necessarily for different purposes, but with different intentions behind them. You can't say the one is good and the other is evil based on just the object. That's not how it works. And I think that's kind of where the debate lost the plot a little bit as well.
Yes.
We are trying to attach morals to objects and thinking that their regulation will work. And especially in our gun debate sometimes, and there's been a huge awakening with this. Lockdown's been good for that because people realize the government can't fix their situation. They will have to be responsible for it themselves. And ultimately, your safety and your security is going to come down on your shoulders. And the best way to do that is to put yourself in a position where you've got the tools to look after it. That's the only good thing of lockdown. Possibly the only good thing is a slight awakening. But for the rest of it, we think that if you make it harder for people who already obey the law to get these objects, that criminals are going to murder less people with guns, and that's just never been the case.
If people want to get a gun, they're going to get a gun. There's many ways to get a gun illegally. So yeah, you're not going to stop it from happening. But speaking about gun laws and having the rights and being responsible, there's a common argument that apparently humans. There was a quote here that someone gave. I think it was, Cyro saying, I think it's because people think we are civilized, in quotation marks, and in no civilized country are guns necessary. So, that misconception that basically, oh, but we're a civilized, society, so we don't need guns. You bring up a good point with South Africa and people wanting to feel protected, and of course that's a human right for everyone. But here's a good thing, and I think we should mention it so that we ourselves are being responsible with this message. I found out, and I think it was from watching one of your shows. You can't just, if someone's in your backyard, uninvited, you can't just grab your gun and shoot. It doesn't work that way, and I feel that's important to mention.
They are very much legal considerations about when the use of lethal force is in fact justified. So no, in SA we've got, it's actually it sounds worse than it is. It says that there must be an unlawful attack already occurring or about to occur on yourself or an innocent third party, and that you can then use lethal force to stop that attack. So it doesn't mean you have to wait for somebody to first shoot at you or to first stick a knife in you. That's not. I recommend actually listening to some of the discussions I've had, and I'll probably will have another one of these about the practical of violent interpersonal confrontations. But you can't just shoot anyone for any reason, and that's not even the case in the United States. And I think another thing we saw around the world with these protest actions being driven so hard by the extreme left. The veneer of civilization is very thin. There was a horrible story about a South African doctor that was murdered in Canada yesterday or the day before, by a drug addict with a hammer who beat him to death in the hospital because he didn't want to dispense drugs to this guy who was obviously abusing it. Wow. And this is Canada. It's supposedly, well, it is not supposedly. It's a highly civilized country with a very low murder rate. The problem is that, and this is the other thing people don't understand, you don't carry a gun on you. You don't want to own a gun for protection because you expect society to become violent and attack you and kill you. You literally have it as an insurance policy against a worst case scenario, because no matter where you live, when somebody's actively trying to kill you, that's a worst case scenario. That's a life or death struggle that you don't want to encounter. Nobody wants it. You have to be a bit psychotic if you get off on these types of things and go, yeah, I really want to go into the bad part of town tonight, and I'm going to walk around flaunting my Rolex because I want someone to try to attack me. I've never met anyone in my life that has that bizarre attitude. So most people are like, okay, cool, I have a healthy sense of self-preservation. I really don't want bad shit to happen to me. But in the event that it does, I want to be sufficiently prepared that I can stop it from killing me or doing bad things to my wife or kids. And that's really the foundation of it. It's as simple as that.
Yes, absolutely. I want to, there's Marvin here, Marvin Hammond, who, thank you, by the way, Marvin, for tuning in and watching. Thank you so much. Marvin's asking a question. Joe Emilio, one thing not discussed for reasons to possess a firearm yet on the show, which is to protect against a government becomes tyrannical relative at this moment, question mark. He corrected himself here and said, government that becomes tyrannical. Sorry, struggle with that one. So I think he's saying the topic is to protect against a government that becomes tyrannical relative at this moment, question mark.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's an awesome question because one of the major issues with gun control, let's say people who are anti-gun. I always say that they're not really anti-gun. They're just anti-civilians having guns. They're more than happy for government to have all the guns, and then by default, because criminals don't obey laws, that it'll be government and criminals. So they'll have the sole monopoly on armed force, and normal innocent citizens caught in the middle will literally have nothing, which is a huge asymmetry when it comes to armed force. I mean, the government and the state is not so special that it should retain so much power that it can project lethal force onto citizens whenever it feels like it, and the citizenry just do not have the capacity to do it back. I mean, America is a great example of there are more guns than people in the United States. I saw a statistic that Americans own more firearms. I need to just get confirmation of this, but it was a beautiful statistic. There are more guns in civilian hands in America than in all the world's militaries combined. It's ridiculous. There is
Wow.
something ridiculous like 400 or 500 million guns in the United States. It's humongous.
Well, that doesn't do much for our stereotype. Damn. Everyone calls us trigger happy. I see why.
but America's got a murder rate of like 5 per 100,000. It's like,
That's true.
with all those guns, I mean, you guys aren't even anywhere near the top 50 or top 80 most murderous countries, or top 900, not even the top 100. It's so much of an outlier. It's glorious. And I think guarding against government having that monopoly on armed force is hugely important. The citizenry should always maintain. I used to say, look, tyrannical governments are a huge problem, especially in Africa, where most governments on the continent are unfortunately tyrannical. So it's very much a concern here. I was like, okay, but most of the world that's more first world or more developed economies, you'll still worry more about criminals and tyrannical government. And you see, okay, in New Zealand, 4 members of the same family suddenly get COVID again, and they just like, okay, cool, everyone locks down. You've got no say in this. And this COVID thing really like showed me how naive my thinking was. Like, okay, there's a lot more tyranny out there than I gave it credit for. It's almost as if the world's political systems were just waiting for the chance to say, okay, cool, we get to flex our muscle and just oppress everybody within our borders, and they'll love us for it. That was a scary moment. I did not quite like that awakening very much.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can sympathize with you on that one. Yeah, so good answer. I can't. I think. Look, I think the thing is with guns is, again, media. You know, like every time there's a shooting, every time there's. And here's the funny thing, right? Because I used to have this discussion with people when they used to try and call me out and say, like, oh, you Americans, you're so, like, everyone's always killing each other in America and stuff like that. But it's the media. You know, every time
It is
there's
the media. The American homicide rate is like at its lowest point in 50 years, and gun ownership has just shot through the roof over the past 15 years.
I think I would love to see, because I explain it to people, right? Yes, there are quite a bit of shootings, obviously. I think in any country there's a lot of shootings, right? It's just that it gets so publicized by the media and this big hoo-ha because there's this narrative out there that they want to stop the gun laws and maybe be a bit more strict. I agree that maybe they should be a little bit more strict with giving out the guns, because everyone always makes fun of America, like, oh, you can walk into Walmart and buy a shotgun and stuff like that.
Oh, which isn't really true, though.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's like, again, that misperception. And but I mean, but Walmart does kind of sell guns in some of the
They
the
do.
branches and stuff like that. I mean, it got so bad that I used to do a joke where I said, yeah, in Texas you can go and open a bank account and they'll give you a shotgun. So So I mean, that's how bad the stereotype was, and it still is that way. But I think that mainstream media has exploded it because here's the thing: let's pretend for a second that that South Africa was the first world country, right? And switch the roles around. So switch America with South Africa, and imagine how often you would have in the media a story about a shooting in South Africa. It would just be you would have its own channel for it almost. That's
Yeah,
how
you'd have
much.
to. You'd have need more than one channel. Um,
But that's the
and
thing.
this is the ridiculous part of it is if you had to interrogate America's like where all the shootings happen. I can't remember the exact statistic, but well over 75%. Let's call it three quarters. I'm know for a fact it's way more than that, but let's be conservative. Happen can be sort of isolated to the inner cities of a handful of major metros. We're talking about New Orleans, Chicago, Detroit, Washington D.C. is really bad, like really off the charts bad. Los Angeles. You could go and say, okay, this is where the vast majority of shit happens. It's mostly gang related. Um, does America have a gun crime problem, or does it have a gang problem,
Mm.
which is far more difficult to address and solve because now you have to start digging into nuance. Like, okay, what are the socioeconomic problems that drive people into the life of being part of a gang? Why have these things not been addressed over decades? What caused it? How did the arrival of crack cocaine in the early 1980s in these inner cities and the war on drugs perpetuate this and make it highly profitable because gangs were pretty low key. I mean, the guys that wrote Freakonomics, which is a flippin' awesome book, they actually went into American gang culture and said it was pretty low key up until like 1980, the late 70s, early 80s, when crack first arrived.
Mm.
And then that became a major, almost like financial incentive for them to expand their operations and get really violent. And then, yeah, with the crack, the murder rate went up.
Mm.
And no,
Fighting for turf and all that
yeah,
stuff and intimidation tactics and all that. Yeah, making examples out of rival gangs. Yeah, it got crazy.
it got crazy. And the war on drugs is to a huge degree to blame for this. But it's also a strange Puritan thing. So people go, okay, cool, we are anti-gun, we don't want people to own guns. And you go, okay, but do you want to legalize drugs and prostitution and maybe take those revenue streams away from the criminals and see if we can treat it as like a healthcare problem, like the Portuguese did? No, we don't want to do that either because drugs and prostitutes are bad and evil. We should keep those illegal, even though it hasn't made any major difference over decades. And it's like this weird wall you bang your head against. I don't know.
Fair point as well. All right, so I just want to go to Marvin, who says, Joe, it is not a coincidence that people who show the most respect towards each other in the USA are people in the state of Texas. Yes, because, like I said, you can go to the bank and get a gun. And then we had a comment from Syra saying to the whole thing about the government, because citizens will use it against the government or against them, and that's actually true. Can happen. A man with a gun is a citizen. A man with a gun is a subject. Oh, sorry. A
Without a gun.
man without a gun is a
Yeah,
subject.
there we
Yes.
go.
Yes, sorry. And then Joe Emilio, Marvin again asking, what is South Africa's murder rate per 100K? Gideon said USA is 5 in 100K.
Our murder rate it's been going up year on year since 2011. It's somewhere between 36 or 38 per 100,000. So we're about at least seven times higher,
Damn.
700% higher than the US's one.
And for the people that might ask, where do you get these statistics from?
You can actually find them quite openly. Either you can go to the World Bank Open Data and just look for intentional homicide rate per 100,000, or Wikipedia actually has an entire thing devoted to it where you could access the table and it'll just drop down and you can go look the rates up.
Nice.
So if you Google intentional homicide rate, you can see pretty much in any of those sources.
That's a scary number, though.
Yeah, it's
31
not.
per 100. Yo.
We're number 9 in the top 10. We used to be number 8, and the reason why we're number 9 is I think St. Kitts and Nevis they had no data for 7 or 8 years, and then suddenly the latest data came out and it was fucking horrific, and they leapfrogged us about 2 positions, and another country that was also below us suddenly leapfrogged us as well when they got their latest data out. So it's not that we're less murderous, it's just our competitors just started murdering more. If you can put it that way. It's really it's a really
You shouldn't be laughing at that, but yeah. This is the way you said it. Okay, so the stats that you see about South Africa, do they also need to be updated?
Yeah, the ones we had, the latest ones, I think on World Bank was 2017, 2018. The 2019 ones were higher, and I know that the 2018, 2019 is higher, and the 2019, 2020 cycle is higher as well again. So we're probably sitting up at the 38, 39 per 100,000 or close in that area by now,
Sure.
which is bad. El Salvador was way up at like 90 or 100 per 100,000 not that long ago. They came down quite sharply, but that was ridiculous.
90 to 100. Holy smokes, that's insane. But El Salvador, that's a big drug problem there, I think. No?
Yeah, huge drugs, complete totalitarian government, and also a total ban on civilian firearms, which is, I mean, every country in the top 10 has highly restrictive or prohibitive gun laws, which is also a nice correlation.
Yeah, that's an interesting little fact there. That's a very interesting fact. So the more stricter they are on the gun laws, the higher the murder rate. Interesting.
And to be honest, I don't know if it's got so much to do with the guns as the fact that most prohibitive gun laws are a product of very totalitarian or very corrupt regimes, which obviously does not go with a peaceful society or a crime-free society. So it's all linked together one way or the other.
But also, I imagine like if you make like owning a gun illegal completely, it goes back to like weed or drugs or whatever. People want what they can't have. So
Exactly.
it's like now, lockdown is a perfect example. We're not allowed to have cigarettes. We're not allowed to have alcohol. And yet people are still smoking.
Oh, and plenty.
And people are still drinking. I mean, I don't have any alcohol. But we're seeing that humankind will find a way to break the law. No matter how many laws and regulations you put in place, we're going to do what we want to do. And the same applies.
Stupider you make the law, the more contempt for all laws you breed. That's just a definite side effect.
I'm not sure what Kat is saying here. She says, "Except Africa arms trade." Don't know what she's trying to say there. Please elaborate.
I think she says Leapfrog stats on Leapfrog. You can get them as well.
Okay. Fantastic.
Although I don't know what the Except Africa arms trade. You're going to have to
elaborate
help
a bit.
us out.
Yeah.
And hello to Conscious Caracal
yes.
as well.
Hello, Conscious Caracal. Thank you so much for joining, buddy. Please, guys, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to Conscious Caracal. Fascinating channel to watch as well. All about South Africa and politics and philosophy a bit too. That's always an interesting stream when he does that. All right, so we spoke a bit about the laws here and stuff like that. Let's get into. I wanted to get back to, you mentioned that you were a pilot.
Yes, once upon a time.
so like a commercial pilot or like an army, like a F1?
Oh no, airline.
Okay.
So we had a low-cost carrier called One Time, and I was with them from 2008 to 2012. And I left a month before they went bankrupt, and then I flew for Mango, which is SAA's bastard child, low-cost airline. I flew for them for jeepers 8 years, and then what happened there is with lockdown, it was such a mismanaged socialist mess. They didn't have any money to pay their staff, and it just became a horrible place to work. And I decided, you know what, there's so much negativity one needs in your life, and to a point. And I was like, cool, big red ejection button. I'm out. I'm going to just carry on with other parts of my life. I'm a big fan of Fly Sapphire. I think they're an amazing airline in SA. I think if you're supporting a low-cost private sector airline, they're great people. and they do a good job. So that's my official pant of them on your channel.
Why didn't you try working with them?
I did actually,
Oh,
and I got a job with them a week before lockdown, and they
ah,
had to start recruitment. but
no, I'm
the sad
sorry.
part about it all is that unless the market recovers to a point where people are needed, I've pretty much made peace with the fact that that might be the end of my flying career. I'll just find something else to do. So,
Shit, man,
well,
I'm so sorry. Like, you
I
obviously love flying. Like, it's a
I loved flying. The industry was a bit of a shit one, but that's the case with lots of stuff. And in a way, I was always kind of, for the past couple of years, going, I really enjoy flying, but I need to get out. I can't do this until I'm old.
mm,
But the money was good and the lifestyle wasn't too bad. And I have a little analogy. I say it's like those little merry-go-round things on the playground. And I can't believe they get kids to play with those things because they're really bloody dangerous, and they're heavy and they build up momentum and they spin. So you're stuck in this thing and it's going really fast. And you know if you jump out of it, it's going to hurt. So lockdown happens, everything went to hell. I got thrown out. So the pain already happened, and
mm,
now this thing is spinning really fast. And people say, "Okay, cool, but would you like to get back in?" I go, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go back in.
mm.
Maybe, but I first just want to check out what the rest of life is like while I'm here before I just leap.
Yeah, because I think being a pilot, I had family member. My mom was actually not a pilot; she was an air hostess in her younger days, and she told
Brilliant.
me quite a lot of interesting stories about flying back in the day. She used to fly for Emirates, and it's a hectic thing. Like you're basically sleep, fly, sleep, fly, sleep, fly, sleep,
Yeah.
fly, sleep, fly, layover, sleep, fly. Is that how it was for you?
Yeah, it was quite a hectic schedule, but it was civilized for the most part. And then last year the wheels came off,
Mm.
and we went into this thing they called irregular operation, which is really just fancy for Charlie Foxtrot. Yeah, it was a complete mess, and it lasted for 7 to 8 months, and it was like that: sleep, fly. Your schedule changes every single day. It was wreckage, and that's to a degree why I'm glad I kind of eventually
Mm.
taking a bit of a break from it. Going, okay, let's see how this works.
What about teaching people how to fly? Would that be an
Yeah,
option for you?
instruction, I would have to do the writing, and it would be fun. But to be honest, I actually enjoy teaching people how to shoot more than I enjoy, I think, teaching them how to fly.
Fair enough.
And I'm actually quite having fun with trying to build the channel and the blog and the Facebook page into something bigger. And I think commercializing it obviously comes with certain risks. You don't
Mm,
want anything to lose its soul
mm,
because that's what makes it what it is.
mm,
But at the same time, if it can fund me doing better stuff and help more people, then that's worthwhile too.
mm,
Especially people who really want to learn how to defend themselves and
mm,
how to get legally on, but they don't know how, and the journey intimidates them.
mm.
I quite
Speaking,
enjoy that.
yeah, speaking of which, Gideon does have a great video on his channel, How to Get Licensed. I recommend anybody that's interested or thinking of getting a gun, watch that video before you do, so you understand the ins and outs of what you're going to need and do and all the steps. He explains it beautifully. He even has a video about how to renew your license. Again, anything you need to know about guns, this is the guy right now. There was something I wanted to ask you, man. There was this series. Someone in the chat is gonna need to help me out. There is a series on Discovery I used to watch. Um, it was about a family that owned a gun store. I don't know if you ever watched it.
It's not the one where they built the
Sons of
really
Guns.
weird stuff. Oh, Sons of Guns. Okay.
Yes, that's. Did you ever watch that?
I think I did. I like that was. I haven't had a television set for like 6, 7 years, but I remember Sons of Guns.
Yes, that to me was one of my favorite Discovery Channel series. Unfortunately, they had to stop it, I think, after season three. But I feel like Paratus, because I want to talk a bit about Paratus. I feel like Paratus is similar to that.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. It's I want to go do a bit more actual fun stuff with the channel as well, where we go to the shooting range and actually do stuff. There's a really cool channel called Demolition Ranch, by the way. For the guy's a veterinarian in Texas, of all places, but his hobby is to go to the shooting range, and he does interesting things with guns. I mean, obviously it's all safe and legal, but nothing he does is boring. And he obviously gets a lot of people donating money for him to buy elaborate things to then shoot for spectacular reasons. And it's entertaining. And I would love to do similar sort of content eventually one day, maybe, just because it's fun. And Marika says she's sitting there answering my messages. She's like us. Marika is like the Paratus secretary, and I'm a terrible person to have to help with messages. So I apologize on air for what I'm putting her through. It's like slavery isn't dead, Joe. Marika is enslaved.
Oh man. So Paratus, is it your company?
Yeah, I registered as a company. It was kind of its birthday was Jeepers. Sorry, I missed it. Its sixth birthday was 2 days ago.
Happy birthday.
It's been around since 2014 in under another name. It rebranded 2017, and we've just been pushing it. Well, I've been pushing it, but I've had lots of help. I've lots of cool people who write content, who come on videos with me, who tell me when they think I'm being an idiot and I need to maybe just rethink or revise my approach to some things. And it's been one hell of a learning curve, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's awesome.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that you own it, because you said you work for it, and then I was confused. But you own it.
No, it's mine. It's
All right, cool. Then I have a gun supplier, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, no, the gun shop I do work for, but we're really cool people. Searches Guns and Ammo in Somerset West, so you still have a supplier.
Okay, cool.
Swing by anytime.
Somerset West, because someone did ask, where's your shop?
Yep, it's in Main Road, Somerset West.
Fantastic. Okay, so Kat clarified for us. She said the reason why Africa is silencing guns is because of the arms deal. I don't know if that's true, but
there is a whole I don't think it's a UN. I think it's an Africa Union agenda thing that's also out, or silencing the guns by 2020 something or whatever. It's essentially meaningless, because I mean, ISIS just took over a port yesterday or the day before in northern Mozambique. So yeah,
oh, crap.
I don't think they're silencing any guns in Mozambique at this stage. So good luck with that, guys.
Yeah. All right. And Kat also wants to know, can you fly helicopters?
No, unfortunately not. Always wanted to fly helicopters, always did, but never quite got that far.
Stevie saying, do you want to be a smuggler pilot?
Well, the right things are going economically, I might have to. It's a whole different type of moonshine, that.
And Marika laughing, and Yanni dropping Demolition Ranch in the live chats. Thank you, Yanni, for doing that. This guy is like so spectacular. You just mention something and he's just there. He's like, I imagine like, I don't know if you've seen Gideon Yanni before, but he serves everyone's channel, and I'm sure he's checked you out. Make him a moderator if you ever see Yanni van der Veld. Make him a moderator.
I think Yanni contacted me, and I did the exact same thing to him that I did do to millions of people, because I'm terribly disorganized. And I forgot to respond to his message. Shut, Yanni. I'd love to have you as a mod, dude.
He's brilliant, man. He has like I picture him in his basement. I don't mean any offense by this, but I picture him in his basement with like 1,000 screens, and he's watching everybody at the same time, and has all the links just ready, like pa 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 pa.
He's doing Minority Report.
Yes. Oh, there's Eleutheria saying, thank you for tuning in, Eleutheria. Please go subscribe to Eleutheria. Yanni takes mod duties super seriously.
And Beth is awesome, by the way.
Beth is awesome. Amazing channel. Go check it out. She's actually had you recently, I believe, on her channel, right?
I did actually. I was on her channel, and I think a year ago she sent me the reminder today. A year ago we had a really cool discussion, which was awesome. And I think it's time we have another discussion, Beth, whenever you're ready. Happily.
All right. Okay, cool. So we got 10 minutes left. If anybody has any other questions they really want to know about anything to do with guns, we'll open the floor for you guys to ask whatever is really on your mind, or if you're really interested to know. But again, please go subscribe to Paratus. I think you've got like everything on your channel. If anybody has any questions and they want like a deep explanation of something, they can easily find it on your channel.
The website's also quite extensive with articles. There's
Fantastic.
lots of stuff there that, yeah.
All right. Here's a question for you. So, you as a gun enthusiast, what do you say to people? And this is important because we wanted to touch on this as well. So we did discuss the history of where this whole right thing came for people who are pro-gun. But what's the best way for people who label you now as this right-wing supremacist, right? What's your message to them in a polite way, like in a defense of saying like, I'm not that because?
Well, I think my biggest, how shall I say, concerted response to that would be, I want everyone to be armed, so when we all have a big fight, it's fair.
You're not helping the cause, my friend.
I'm not helping the cause. No, I think what people need to understand, to be serious about the answer, ultimately this isn't about guns. It's about you as an individual, your right to bodily integrity, your right to life, your ability to protect those rights, to protect your personhood, so to speak, as well as the person of people that are dependent on you, whether it's your children or an elderly relative or parent or a spouse. And in the 20th and 21st century, the best tool we have that we can put in the hands of a responsible law-abiding citizen, regardless of their sex, their gender, their creed, their culture, their religion, their age, doesn't matter, is still a firearm. Until we come up with something better, until we design and invent a tool that's more effective, that is when the chips are down, that's it. And I think any arbitrary restriction on people to exercise that, protecting their rights with those tools, doesn't make sense to me. It seems just tyrannical, to be honest. And I think that's a better conversation to have, is say, look, there's lots of societal problems we need to solve, but until they're solved, there's no point in making it impossible for good people to defend their lives, regardless of what they believe. Even lefties. Even lefties.
But that's the thing as well. Like when you talk about the right to own guns and stuff and protect yourself, you're also including them in the conversation. Like they will also have that right to do it, and they act like, I don't know, maybe they don't want the right. I don't know. And it's not all lefties. It's usually the very extreme scaredy cat ones that are against it because they've seen people killing. And I don't know. I think you and I could probably talk about that subject for hours and hours, and all the flaws. But I just wanted people to know that just because you support guns, this whole, again, what I've been saying for the past few weeks now is this association thing needs to stop.
Yeah.
Just because we're pro-gun doesn't mean we're some crazy right-wing supremacists who now want to take over the world. Actually, we just want to protect our families and have the right to protect our families. And that goes for everyone else.
That's exactly it. Even people who disagree with me or hate me, I want them to be able to have guns as well. And this is probably the thing I don't understand. It's like you could disagree with everything I stand for, but ultimately, any right that I seek to expand is your right as well.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So a lot of people dropped some questions, so we'll just quickly go through them as quickly as we can. Let's see here. Eleutheria is saying, I need my hoodie, then we can discuss my next step. Your fans are hard on you, man.
We shall make it so. It will be done.
Bismarck Bear asking, how do you feel about revolvers?
I like revolvers. I would not recommend people carry them as a defensive firearm unless you don't have anything else. But they're really cool and they do have a purpose. And I would love to own something like a Colt Python one day when I'm grown up. But, but that's just because I watch Dirty Harry and I have a fetish for it. So yeah, pretty much.
Mr. Punisher asking, 2 Glocks or 1 Glock and a micro Ronnie?
2 Glocks. Simple reason. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And then you can get the Ronnie later. So definitely 2 Glocks.
Yanni saying to Mr. Punisher, micro Ronnies are super cool, dude. Okay, here. Paratus, do you have any contacts in Krugersdorp where I can do my competency? Competency,
probably.
yeah, sorry. I want to start my journey to owning a firearm.
Okay, so Krugersdorp, I don't. However, Linda, please drop me an email. I promise I will try and respond to it. I know I'm bad, but I know people in Krugersdorp that can ask around for me. And I can probably, or just tune in Whiskey Friday tomorrow night, 8:00 on my channel, and I'll have an answer for you. Maybe that's even better because then I can't miss your communication. If you don't mind, Linda, that'll be cool.
Marika saying, I want to take over the world, stop generalizing. Okay, Marika, that's just you. Okay, so Beth saying, I gotta put the boys to bed. Please tell Gideon I want my hoodie.
Okay.
And then HVR saying, how it usually goes, buy a pistol, then you shoot a match or two, and the buggy bite. Then you're dropping 10,000 Rand on reloading equipment to shoot more.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You think you're starting with one gun, and before you wipe your eyes out, it's like, oh, I have a collection now. How did I afford this? I'll never financially recover from it. Oh dear. Yeah.
Yanni saying, mad kudos to Gideon video on everyday carry. Also carry a Glock 19. Love it.
Thank you, Yanni. Thank you for watching it. Really appreciate it.
What was that about?
I just did an unpacking video of basically my everyday carry setup and what I use and why I use it and a bit of the philosophy behind it. And maybe some people can learn from it. Maybe I can learn from them as they point out, why didn't you think of that? Or maybe rethink that. Or yeah, it's hello, Herman, by the way.
Hey, Herman. Linda saying she will see you on the stream, so there you go. Awesome. And then Herman saying, when can we start becoming ATMs for your channel? What?
Oh, he wants to know when super chat. Well, soon, hopefully. We just need to help Joe keep getting those views and subscribers up, guys.
Yeah.
Well, you've got 1,000 now, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't know when I can super chat, so I guess YouTube will let me know. But I just need to keep growing, guys. So share, like, all that stuff. But I'm glad that there's people out there that want to support me. It really means a lot. But also support this guy. Congratulations, by the way. I think you were like at 6,000 subscribers last time I saw.
Oh, no. That's not me. I'm at 2,000. I'm going to tell you now how many I've got. It's not a huge amount. It's 2,500. It's getting there. One step at a time.
That's not a huge amount.
Hey, you're right.
So
on my
humble.
heels.
So humble. No, I mean, last time I saw you, we were both on 500.
Something weird happened, and I got the sudden influx, and then
lockdown happened. That's what happened. Lockdown happened. People started to realize that I think even in my circles of friends and family, everyone was like, we need to get a gun. Like we need to get protected. And you know what? Rightfully so. And I always tell people, I even told my family, you gotta check out Paratus on YouTube. He knows everything, whatever you want to know. Like, so I mean, I'm punting you all the time in my private life.
Thank you so much, Joe.
So yeah. Okay, cool. So we're approaching the hour. Nobody else has any more questions. So Paratus, Gideon, thank you so much, man. I hope, seeing as you're in Somerset West, I might actually pop by soon and check out your store. And hopefully we can grab a cup of coffee sometime.
That would be awesome. Please do. We'd love it.
So as we sign off, please stay on the line. I'm just going to sign off very quickly. Yeah, so, okay, Herman saying, you two bragging about 1,000, about 1,000. Some of us are still at like not even past 100. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please go subscribe to Herman Ruas, Farmer's Travels. Very interesting channel as well. He's a farmer that talks about traveling. And Eleutheria as well, who is a growing channel as well and talks about liberty and everything about liberty. So please go check her out. And apparently HVR saying 1,000 subs is the requirement for monetization. Then you need to sign up for the partner program. I have done that. I'm waiting to see what YouTube says. Does that allow Snapchat though?
It does. It gives you super chats. So I think it's 1,000 subscribers and I think 4,000 video watch hours or something like that.
Huh.
And then they start sending you emails about, oh, hello, you've unlocked this option. Now we're sending you more paperwork to fill in, and then you get the magic super chat thing or something.
Oh yeah, super chat's not Snapchat. Super chat, yeah. I don't know. I'm just as the emails come through, but YouTube is late, man. Because I hit 1,000.
They're very late.
And then a week later, they're like, "Congratulations, you hit 1,000."
They're probably all on Microsoft. What Internet Explorer still? What's it called? Edge. It's like very late. Very late.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and help support me. And definitely subscribe to Gideon, a very interesting channel. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more interesting stuff in the future. So, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers, guys. And thanks again, Gideon, for joining me as well.
Absolute pleasure, Joe. Thanks.
Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and a share. That's how my content gets out there. Also, don't be afraid to comment. I usually do respond to the comments in the comment section below. If you want to support my channel, please go to the link in the description below, support my channel, and you'll be taken to my website, which has all the details. Also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, feel free to check out the links below to my social media accounts. Give me a follow, and I'll see you at the next one.